Hi, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
I am really excited. Before we started, I already told you I'm a fan, follower. I love what you're doing, and I'm excited that you took the time to hang out with me here on Social Sunshine. So, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate like I was voicing a little bit earlier. Yeah, I love doing these and yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, of course, of course. I know everybody's going to get so much inspiration out of this episode. I know I do, out of you and your content on social media. That's how I found you, and you, I mean, like now I feel like you have what you're at almost 1 million followers essentially, and it's been so exciting to watch because for me, like seeing another performer, I was an actor and dancer since I was a child. And
Wow.
so to see someone performing and then using social media to reach so many people and impact so many people in a positive way has been really special to watch for you. But if you don't mind, just rewind a little bit to let everybody know why you even started with music. Like, where did that come from and what was your original inspiration?
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean that's a super
It's
long
a
story.
long story.
Yeah, trying to I get yeah, I mean for me it wasn't something that just naturally happened. It wasn't something that just totally made sense or something that I always wanted to do. Um, so I traveled. Try and make a long story very short. I used to travel. I competed around the world for snowboarding.
Yeah.
That's what I did my since I was a kid, I guess, and that came very natural to me. That made sense, and that was what I was going to do the rest of my life. But within that industry, I guess you could say, or sports, but it definitely in extreme sports as well, injuries just come with the territory. It just happens. I'd be a shorter list to tell you all the bones that I haven't broken, um, but yeah, one. I had one injury after I don't know how many years of snowboarding, traveling, and competing. I had one injury, which is my lower back, that put me out worse than anything else. And obviously, being the back being something any human needs, yeah, the rehab and rehabilitation for it was a long time. It took me out long enough where not just did life and circumstances and things change in that period of time, maybe like a year span, but the like the talent and the sport had progressed so fast as well. So yeah, I kind of had to. I can't even say I kind of had to take a look at my life. I mean, I took a look and I wasn't able to do. Plus, it was very expensive. Like before then, we had sponsors and other companies that helped support kids that did that. And after taking that time off, I think then I don't know. I put it a lot on me. It's like my parents weren't able to do that kind of stuff. So uh, I was like, well, if I can't do this and the sports progress so fast, uh, I got very pessimistic and very negative, right? Because that was my purpose, what I felt here. Mind you, I was very young. I didn't know the difference or have the contrast, but it was my purpose. It was what I was meant to do. The rest of my life, that's all I was going to do. I couldn't even care. Like I could just live in a cabin and just snowboard every single day, and that's what I could do if I could make enough money. Like that's it. That's all I
Yeah.
needed. Like that's when you internally, mind you, again, I didn't have the contrast. I didn't know that young that it was like, wow, so many people just wish that for whatever it is, and I had that. So then not having that awareness, looking back now, and then losing that, I say I got the case of like the F it's like I was like, well, F this, and I don't want to be a part this is all I want to do. If I can't do this, then whatever, I'm going to join my next, if I'm going to be here around for the next few years. I was very pessimistic. Uh, I was like, that's what it is, then I'm just going to do what I want. And at the end of the day too, I was so young. I didn't understand. And I definitely was very hurt by that, losing something that you love so much in this world, and then it not being of your choice, so anyways, that led me into just a spiral of like wrong people, places, and things, and yeah, getting caught up with just not the best things. And again, having the awareness now, it's like you're really looking for that external thing to fulfill you internally, right? Because I just didn't want to feel the way that I felt every single day, so I was willing to do anything to take me from that. And yeah, it was, I don't know how many years of, I mean, years and years of just, trial and error, and until I even came upon music. Now, mind you, backtrack a little bit. Music, it's a little funny because my dad does music. My dad's a musician. He's also a 100%er. He produces, he mixes, masters, sings, plays guitar. Uh, I grew up as a baby. My mom would take me as a baby when she probably shouldn't bring me in the club, but would bring me and to watch him. So you would think naturally that actually, before even sports or snowboarding, that would have been, oh, I'm going to do this, you know. And there was a period of time where I played the drums. I grew up as a drummer, and we had a drum set in the house. But honestly, what it just stemmed down to is just insecurities. Like, I even when snowboarding, like competing, I was always cool hanging out with friends and like just hitting the mountain and just, you know. But when it came down to competition, it was just like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think of me? Am I going to do all these things right? Am I going to fall? Are they going to make fun of me? Just, you know. And that translated to definitely real, just normal life outside of the sport as well. And yeah, until I had found, until I had tried something different within the years of being miserable and feeling lost, and um, yeah, just that lack of everything. I was just like, I just know, like I said, I don't want to feel the way that I feel every single day. I'm willing to do anything and try anything. And the first experience I had, mind you, my mom did take me to the club and events that my dad would play, but being, I guess, a teenager at this point, I went to like an event, like a club, like house music. And the first time I ever went, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I was like, oh, I've never experienced something like that. Even when traveling, you hear that with touring artists too. I feel like you get to travel, you're so lucky, but at the end of the day, you don't, like, you're really not seeing anything. You do it and you see hotel rooms. This is
Right.
similar for snowboarding too, as well. But I was like, oh my gosh, I experienced the club for the first time. And this was before like house music also then became commercial. So that's what I listened to when I snowboarded. It was just upbeat, and it just really kept you going. And then I experienced it in real life with other real people, and everyone was on that frequency. We'll
Right.
talk about soon, but
Yeah.
everyone was on that. And I didn't know, again, I didn't have the awareness at the time. I just knew that I felt internally fulfilled again. And I'd missed that for the years that I had been lost, right? And after snowboarding, and honestly, I don't think, I mean, I could look at it now and say I definitely didn't, but at the time, I didn't even, snowboarding didn't even fulfill me how that did. Because
Mm.
now I look back and I say snowboarding was the best thing that never happened for me,
Wow.
you
Yeah.
know? But hindsight's hindsight's always 2020, you know? It's in
Yeah.
those moments, you know, and moving forward. I do like to talk anytime I have a podcast or interview or have these conversations even on live. I always have to like set my intention. It's like, why do I want to have these conversations, and what is the purpose, and that I hope from whatever, whether it's me or whatever's coming through me, talking, like, what's my intention, what's my purpose behind it. And it is in hopes that if someone is that, so you don't have to reset hindsight 2020 and then go through that BS, right? That someone can resonate with anything that I say, you know,
Right.
whether, and just to help, because we don't, you know, unfortunately, most of us need to have a traumatic experience in our life in order to make real change, and it doesn't
Right.
need to be like that, you know. But again, hindsight's 2020, and we all are on a different journey. But if we can start to relate and take information from other people that we either look up to, or that we even just resonate with, or they have a story that's similar, instead of being like, oh, that was, I see what you, I see how that like affected your life, but see, my situation is close, but it's a little different like this, so I can't implement those things into my life. It's like if we were just able to look a little closely at all the things we could relate to, how much better I think all of us would be. But
Right.
anyways, I'll go off
Right.
on topics. If you don't hold me back, I'll go off on a million
No,
things.
I love what you said just now, because that's why I like to share the stories of people that are standing out on social media. Cause like professionally, I own a social media agency. So,
Oh, well,
but for me as a creator, like you are a creator, there's, it's so much deeper than that. I always tell people, I'm like, all this whole like social media thing and getting online and being in front of people and impacting lives and all this stuff using technology to help us. Like, it's deeper than that. It's not just like, oh, look at me, or I look cute, or I have a cute outfit on, So like
yeah,
you're saying, like connecting with people and all of that. And the stores, usually with somebody like you, and not usually, all the time, with someone like you that's really standing out and impacting lives like you are online, there's a hell of a story behind it. So I appreciate you sharing that part of it. I want to ask you though, specifically about the music and the social media coming together, because that's been, I mean, for me, it's just been so fun at first to watch you. And then of course I dove more into your story and learn more about what you're doing. But when was this like pandemic thing, or what was kind of the timing of when your music and social media collided where you could reach more people like this?
I mean, that is a long journey as well. So after I found the club, I'll try
Yeah.
and speed that process up. But after I found the
Yeah.
club and I was like, I need to do this. This is, I don't know what it is in this industry, but I just want to do it. You know, whatever it is. Like I want, because I even had the awareness then. I was like, I just want. You ever hear a good song or watch a good movie? What's the first thing you want to do? Whether it's someone you love or someone that's close to you or a friend, you just want to be like, oh, you have to
Oh,
watch this or you have to listen to this, especially when
right.
you and your friend are into the same genres of music
Yeah.
or film, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I felt. I was just like, oh my God, if I could make people, I could do this. And if I could make people feel like how I feel right now, oh my gosh, this is the best job on earth. You know,
Yeah.
I even had that, not as deep as the awareness that I have now, but like that was like the first thing that I felt and I like said to myself.
Yeah.
And so little by little, I started traveling in New York. Sometimes I drive up there from PA 3 times a week and just who can I connect to? And long story short, they were like, well, you're going to hit a ceiling if you just want to DJ. You're going to need to, if you really want to do this thing, you're going to need to learn how to produce and to mix and to do all these things. I was like, okay, I'll do it. You know, like whatever it is.
Whatever.
And I tried everything, like leading up into your question as far as how it went hand in hand with social media. I mean, before I was even on social media, I tried everything. Like every DAW too, digital audio workstation. I've tried Fruity Loops, Premiere, everything, Studio One, everything you could imagine. I tried, and none of it made sense to me. Like I came from very like physical stuff. I was always very, I guess you could say talent, because I have a weird thing with the word talent. Uh, but
Okay.
you could say that I was talented in that. Like it came more naturally to me. But then music, none of it. I was like, oh gosh, it could be on the computer. You know, like, oh no, my brain doesn't work like that, you know? Uh, but I was so obsessed with and it actually even drove me more the fact that I couldn't understand it. You know, it drove me so much more. And then I came across Logic and things started to kind of, I feel like at the time, Logic looks, if you looked at the two platforms now, the Logic before, that's the DAW is called Logic, is it looks like a baby version now. So it's like, but uh, it like clicked more with me, and then I just became obsessed because I didn't understand it. And I was like, I have to get this. So I just as little as a human being could sleep, I became like seriously obsessed. Like I have to get this. And then little by little started to make sense. And then I feel like this will be like most artists or everyone, every artist or anyone in this industry will tell you there was like that one that, that it starts to sound like something I would hear from somewhere else, you know,
Yeah.
in the sense of like quality, right? Because that was also something I struggled with. I tried to sound like this person and sound like this and sound like this. I couldn't do it. You know, I just couldn't. It always came out sounding different. And at the time, like looking back now, that's actually a great thing. But at the time, you're just like want to be like someone you look up to or a sound that you really like. And I just never, I never could do it. It always came out sounding way different. And that's a good thing, you know? So I would say that
Yeah.
for anybody that's trying to sound like someone, don't, you know, like that's actually, you're ahead of the curve if that's the case. So lean more into that. But then I started producing before I did a little bit of content. I had a project called Jaden Parks, and I definitely didn't sing and I definitely didn't write. Again, the insecurities kicked in. I found something I loved, which gave me the excuse to be like, okay, maybe I'll dabble in this, blocking out the fear and insecurities that I had. And then I started a project called Jaden Parks, and it was very what I fell in love with at the club, like very house music. And again, this wasn't like yet on the radio. It was very SoundCloud days. And yeah, I just did that like full time, and I would make some videos, you know, online. It's like similar personality, you know, but it was
Yeah.
like because I'm super excited, and everyone's like, "Are you sure you got your life together?" You
I'm
know?
fine.
Yeah, still I get it all the time today, you know. It's like whatever. It's just my personality, but yeah. So within that, right? If we don't switch one thing, so essentially, because this is all stems from this. I don't care if it's music, anyone else that's listening, maybe you're able to relate to it. But no matter if it's music or you're working to have a law degree or you want to strive to be the manager of wherever, it's it's all comes down to like it's all life things and mindfulness, right? In order to get there, like that's where everything stems from. It's irrelevant of what you're trying to achieve. It's just the truth. So within that thing, I lost snowboarding. So I felt empty on the inside, essentially having a spiritual malady, right? A void, a lack that I feel on the inside that I was looking to fulfill externally. Mind you, at that time in losing snowboarding, I filled that internal void externally with negative things, right? So it's obvious it's catastrophe, I guess, at the end of the day, but it's a temporary solution. This is what people, whether it's, some people have a gambling problem, sex, drugs, whatever the case may be, they'll tell you it's a problem. Like I'll try and speak for me, myself and I, but I could tell you it's, for me, it's not a problem. It's a temporary solution to a permanent problem, right? A permanent problem being a spiritual malady, a lack of void you're feeling on the inside, you're looking to fulfill externally. So that's how it was for so long. And then I found music and I was like, oh my gosh, like it fills everything, 10 times more, like but I didn't have the awareness. And with that, it became my higher power, essentially, like my God. So I was like, and I'll state, I'm not religious by any means. I'm all for anybody that is religious, that helps anybody that believes in whatever they choose to believe in, or they do believe in, as long as it's a positive way. I have nothing against it. And I think that's phenomenal and amazing. I believe in the universe, and I don't freaking know. I do say the word God, but just because it's the biggest word I know.
Yes.
And it sounds, good to say. And
that's a good way to put it. The biggest word. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the biggest word I know, but
I relate.
But yeah, so I then I found music, and I started to fulfill that internal void. But at the end of the day, what is that? It's still an external thing. The only way to fill this internally is internal. It's from within. You're like, how the frick do I do that? If it's all messed up, how do I internally fulfill something that's internally making me insane? Like you don't want to be here. So then I went through a whole different span within starting to produce. I didn't have any balance either. That's a huge thing. I didn't have any balance. I started making music, I was posting some stuff on social media. Social media wasn't like how fluent it is now, in so many people's lives. It was, but not really. There definitely wasn't a TikTok. I don't even think there was a Vine yet. I don't want this to date me, but
it's okay. I understand.
Yeah. So,
hey, I liked MySpace. All right. So like, it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing this. Yeah. I've definitely been doing it for a long time. It's definitely been over 10 years of overnight success for sure. They tell you, so over 10 years of overnight, but yeah, so I went through a whole spiral starting music. It was nonstop. That's all I did for like the first year. I didn't sleep. I mean, there's so many times where I'd fall asleep at the computer and then wake up and just still work. I was so obsessed. I couldn't help myself. So the first thing I wanted to do when I get up, I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to do nothing. Like that's all I wanted to do. Like I became so obsessed, and that's just not sustainable. Right. In my head, it was. And I would have other people, you got to like do other things. You got to like have friends or like do it. I was like, I don't want to do any of that. If people are telling me that, that's just because they can't do it. It's like, they just can't do what I'm going to do. That's what I would tell myself. I was very like self-driven and motivated. I definitely get that from my parents as well. But that was the case. And unfortunately, that did happen. Like it hit a ceiling and it was just unsustainable. And then I seeked other things externally, to fulfill that lack that I was feeling then, until it reached the point now leading up into your question, until I had gone through, I don't know what number, rock bottom, but I was like, I need to do something different. Like your environment is so important. I don't care who you are, what you are. Of course, wherever you go, there you are. They say, well, if you move, you're just going to run into this. But I mean, environment was a huge swap for me. And I made the conscious decision because every time I was going through something in life, it didn't matter. I was like, okay, if I would like get locked up or be involved in something or a treatment or whatever it was, I was like, I don't care. I'll do whatever I had to do. I just want to go back home. Like that's every single time. So it was the definition of insanity, consistently doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results. So until I hit that, again, I don't know what number, rock bottom, I was like, I don't want to go home. Like it just felt internally, it's like, I just don't want to do that. Like I know that I don't want to feel the way that I feel every single day. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes not to feel that. And I've said that many times before, but I had to understand that maybe my way wasn't the way. The way that I thought it should be done obviously wasn't working out. So that's when I had taken the leap to move out to California. And my sister lived out in LA, and she had a tiny, it's like the size of this room. She had a tiny studio apartment, and I was grateful enough, and I appreciate she let me sleep on her kitchen floor. She had a tiny little kitchen floor. I have some photos of it and pictures, but uh, yeah, I was like, the first thing I have to do is start a routine. If I'm going to do this, I got to do all the things I necessarily don't want to do in order to get to where I want to be, because everything that I've wanted to do and every way that I did it wasn't working. So it was just like implementing these new things. And I started like really doing research on just like just development, just self,
Yeah.
because I knew it wasn't the external thing that I was trying to achieve. If I wanted to achieve that, I had to understand all the internals, and I didn't understand any of that, and so I just started becoming obsessed with that and balancing making the music with just YouTube and Google. I mean, we live in the best time. You'll hear me say it all the time. Like, we have Google and YouTube, like YouTube Academy. That's how I learned how to produce.
YouTube, yes, and Google University, yeah.
Yeah, so, it's so true. So that's what I did. And when I moved there, I was like, if this is, because it was very life or death for me, and that's how I would look at a lot of things, but it was as well literally for me. And I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do what I've always wanted to do, and I've been so scared of, and I'm gonna like essentially make a new project and learn how to sing and write. So it's like, well, YouTube Academy to everything else. So I'll just type in like how to sing on Google, and how to write, and just learn the same way I learned anything else, up until that point. So that's what I did. And I started Able Heart. Able Heart stemming from, my mom's always said, you're able to do anything your heart desires. I'm a big mama's boy.
Oh,
And
nice.
yes, it was like Able Heart. I was like, oh, this, and then I could be honest and vulnerable, like, because there were a lot of things that I wanted to write about, almost like therapeutically, write about the things that I went through. And that, if you look full circle at the music now, it's completely opposite. It's almost like I'm glorifying those things. But again, right, when something helps us so much, I could look back at those times. It's not that I was glorifying it, but not having the awareness and the ignorance to all of this, and I'm still learning, forever learning. It's not like you ever got it, right? So,
Right.
but when something helps you, just like we talked about film or music, it helps you. You just want to like be like, bro, like, trust me, like this helps. Especially when I was around the people, places, and things that were going through similar life situations. It's like that negative thing helped you, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like these things help me. So, and I also, so it was pairing that, even though it was negative and bad, with it was therapeutic. It was a way for me to express the way that I felt on the inside without actually carrying through those acts in real life. Right.
Right.
At least that's what I had told myself, because I could look back now and I'm like, damn, I was telling myself that, but it's what I ended up doing. Right. So I started the project to live out in California. Nothing was really happening. And I think I was there for maybe 3 years, 3 years or something. And I was like very driven, and I didn't feel like anything really happened. I never had a manager. I didn't have a lawyer. I didn't have anything at that time. Out of fear, honestly. Like, that, I did have tons of opportunities, but I didn't know who to trust. I came from that place, people, places, and things, and I was like, I don't trust anybody, and I worked too hard to like take that risk.
Yes.
And until I was about to leave. I didn't have any, I was leaving that week, and I didn't, like, my parents weren't able to fund me to live out in California any longer. And I was like, well, I just need to feel like I did something. Right. So long story short, again, got together, a couple buddies of mine referenced me to another like videographer that ended up filming this thing. And I was like, I want to put together a music video and just feel like, before I leave California, I need to feel like and put out visually that I had done something,
Right. Right.
So I did that. We got together, filmed the whole thing. I wrote a whole treatment. I had no idea how to do any of that. Wrote a whole treatment, sent it to him. He's like, oh my gosh, you did this? I was like, yeah, I stayed up all night and I learned how. And,
No problem.
and so I did that. We filmed it and I brought it back and I was like, oh no, I don't know. Like, I need to edit it. I just have raw footage. And I was like, well, I definitely didn't have any money then to pay anybody to do anything. So I was like, so I just stayed up for 3 nights straight during that week and just learned how to edit everything on Final Cut, which I still edit stuff today.
Small Biz Social Society is a content creation community for mission-driven small business owners that are using social media to make a positive impact on the world. I created this community in 2020 to bring together my fellow world changers that run businesses and have a strong presence on social media. And starting January 8th, 2024, you can join the community for free. Yep, the membership cost is going from $18 per month to absolutely free. Zero, zilch, nada. If you're a business owner or in leadership at a business, a social media manager, or a content creator, you are welcome to join our community of creative, intelligent, fun entrepreneurs. The free membership includes access to 4 online events in 2024 that will focus on intermediate to advanced level content creation strategies, our monthly email newsletter that will be jam-packed with resources and detailed tips, and our private Facebook group where you can network, support, and reach out for help. We'll be talking social media, email marketing, YouTube, podcasting, and more. Plus, all members are invited to attend our annual in-person conference, Social Success. Our next one will be held in Austin, Texas in May of 2024. Small Biz Social Society is the best community for intermediate and advanced level content creators that are always leveling up and making a positive impact on the world. Head to smallbizsocialsociety.com to join.
And put it out. And at the time of putting it out, it had like 70, I think it literally had 74 views. And we're leaving, we're getting packed, like the U-Haul's coming up. And that week, one, right? We talk about, which will lead into frequency, law of attraction, manifestation. Again, I didn't even have the awareness as much, but it was putting it out, right?
Right.
I'm projecting it into the universe, putting it, and one out of those 74 views was someone at Universal and NBC. And it was like, and this is the week I'm moving out. And so I got this call, like went through this thing, and I was just like, I'm not gonna, like, it's not, for one, I didn't believe it was real. I was like,
Yes.
they're like friggin' trying to scam me or something. I'm like,
Yes.
you know?
Yes,
And
I do.
so it was partially that, and then also just so much fear, as well as like I had felt like I had built this project, and it was so genuine and real and vulnerable in my sense that I wanted to put out that if I was going to do what it was a TV show, if I was going to do that, like, I was like, oh, I edited it many days, like 3 days enough to know that you could edit it a million different ways, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh no, like what if they edit it like this? Did they even listen to any of my music? Like, why would they, you know, why, like, it makes no sense
Right.
on television. But again, us trying to control the situation of like, I know the outcome, right? Sometimes holds us back from the things we want most in this world, because we think we know how it's going to be, but yet everything is on the other side of the unknown. Everything. So I had done the TV show. My mom pretty much told me I wasn't allowed home if I didn't do it. That was another factor.
I would tell my kid the same. I'd be like, you get on that damn TV show, okay?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. You know, I told her all the things I just referenced to you, and she's like, you're doing it. You're not coming home. Like, she's like, you're not coming home. And I was like, Mom, you know? I don't want to. But yeah, so I did it, and it changed my life. You know, like at that period of time, that was a huge, like, pivotal moment in my career, just as far as not even that. I did end up going to win it, which is a whole other thing, which is just like, you know, you can't make this stuff up, you know?
You're right. Well, and also like a huge song for the Jonas Brothers too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So it was all around amazing. I mean, more so before I even won. It's funny we talk about projecting and putting it out there. I kept saying the whole time, like, no one knows who's going to win or do anything. But the whole time I was there, and the people that I met and the relationships that I had built just there, I kept saying to everyone, I was like, I already won. Like, it had nothing to do with the external actually winning and being, I was like, I already won. You know, I saw like and I was like, oh my gosh, because that's also like such a 50-50 shot. I feel like for especially so many artists, like, you have that one moment, you know, and it's like everything that you work so hard for leads up to this, and like, you're either this is meant for you or it's not, you know, and you're around the people that freaking run the industry, and it's like a 50-50 shot, you know. Right. It's everything that I knew I was meant to do, or it's not, you know, which I didn't want to think like that, you know.
Right.
But but yeah, it happened, and that was a huge, pivotal moment
And
in
that
my
was like
career.
what, 2019, 2020
Yeah,
ish,
20
both.
going into, then COVID, and there were a lot
Yeah.
of decisions. I swear, I say now, um, if you protect your purpose protects you. And it is so true. Even in the times that we don't feel like, why is this happening to me? And when amazing things are happening, because that's always a hard contrast, because amazing things could be happening, but then external things stop those things from happening. You're like, why is this? Like, what? But like, wouldn't it actually make more sense that that thing is conflicting this other thing for happening to protect you? It's just our brain wants to control and act like we know how it's supposed to be, right?
Right. Right.
But yet COVID led up into that, so there are a lot of things that I was like, oh, I pretty much had to like, it's like decide: do I want to be a writer? Do I want to be a producer? Do I want to be an artist? Do I want what do I want to do? And I wish I went in, and it's like such a crazy intro into the music industry, but I went in, I was like, oh, I'm going to do everything. I was like, of course, like that's what I do. I'm 100%er. Like I'm going to walk
Yes.
in, and this is what we're going to just make everything right here. But yeah, I mean, it's just not hasn't been built like that. So it was a big. I was like, oh, so I have to decide. I was like, I don't know. I want to do everything. Like I love what I do. I was like, and it gave me a new platform, right? So that goes into your conversation. Talk about a whirlwind of that into your main question. But I do feel like a lot of that is needed in context, just for anyone that is also listening, because there's a whole lot. It's not like, oh, this happened and now I just post on social media,
No, it totally isn't. I'm so glad that you've been sharing all of those details, because that's one of the things I was thinking was like, I'm so glad you're open about this, because so many people think that shit just real quick. It is not really quick. Most things are not like, what'd you say, 10 years to become an overnight success,
Yeah,
right?
for
I mean,
sure. Yeah,
it's
if
true.
that. Yeah, I mean, and still it wasn't like even till like super recent within like the last few years. So if you say that I started, I mean, yeah, it's over 10 years, like a few years over 10 years. I really don't want to date myself and tell you the actual amount of years, but it's a long time, and I didn't make any, like it had, and that was such a weird thing. Maybe I was projecting it back at the time, and that's why I didn't make any money. But it never was like that for me. I was so passionate about what I did, and I just wanted other people to feel that.
Yeah.
And I was very big on, even back then, I don't think I noticed it as much, but just talking about life and things that have helped me. And I just associated with myself because I didn't trust myself to know I could make the right friends. Because every time I'd make a friend, it was someone that was involved in something I shouldn't be. um, so yeah, I spent all my time by myself. I still do now, and I enjoy the moments that I have with people, but it's not as much of a fear thing. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to make the right friends anymore. It's not as much of that, but I am so passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I'm so
Right.
grateful and blessed that I even get to do it. That, yeah, I think projecting, because I do have to watch, could I say this? Because I talk about this stuff uh, a good amount. And I always say I'm still 99.9% of the time by myself, which is true. But um, I am projecting, like, I don't want to put that out that I'm just going to be alone the rest of my life, that the right people will present themselves. I
Right.
am so,
Yes.
because the reality of it is, and I say that because I'm so, especially at this point in time, even back then, I'm so protective of my energy and the time spent, um, and how much investment I put into myself, and
Right.
all of it has nothing to do external. Just like getting to a place of like, oh my, like I love myself. I was never ever able to say that, and now it's like a new wave for me where it's the proud thing, because I don't want to say proud because societally it'll tell you, it's very narcissistic or egotistical. Be like, yeah, really love yourself, and really, that's not the case. Like,
No.
so yeah, it's all just levels to this, right? But yeah, that's what had happened. That happened with the Jonas Brothers, and then that led into COVID. And
That's a jam, by the way.
thank you.
Greenlight.
I was,
I mean, they all are. I love all your music, but yeah,
yeah,
it's fun to
well, I
listen to.
appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, and we talk about, or I said, you protect your purpose protects you. There were a lot of things. So it's like, again, do I want to be a writer? Do I want to be a producer? Now I'm stepped in, and now everyone notices what I noticed the whole time, just sitting in storm cellars and little whatever studios, odd off places. It's so externally validated, which wasn't such a big uh, external woe thing for me. I mean, there was a lot of external, but it was more so. so internally like my truth. I was like, oh my gosh, all this stuff. Cause we could, especially when you're on just like a path and entrepreneurial, just working towards something, you're like, oh, am I crazy? Like, there's so many times where like
Yes.
something happens, you're
Yes.
not making any money, literally.
Yeah.
And you're like, am I crazy? And you just have to take yourself back to that. No, I know, but I know this is what I'm supposed to do. And I know this is like my purpose. Um, and again, that's why it's so scary to step into that first moment where you kind of will be validated or not in what you truly believed.
Right.
Um, but
Right.
so then COVID happened. Obviously, everyone knows COVID being COVID. That happened in the middle of me. Like, am I going to do like publishing, something with publishing? Am I going to do something with, being a producer?
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to do? And I was still so deep seated, and I had a lot of great people. I mean, I had so many awesome people in my corner as well. Brian Tedder was a huge like help with a lot of that. So was Esther D, and so was David Stewart, who's the creator of the show. Like they all became super helpful in a lot of that and
That's
things that
nice.
I didn't even know. I was like, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure it out and do it all. you know,
Yeah.
but I
So
really wanted
nice.
to do the artist, what you see now.
Yeah.
To your point, like what you see now, I really wanted to do all of it, um, and I kept sitting with that, sitting with that. So then other things like wouldn't happen, or something else external would happen. I mean, COVID's a perfect example.
Right.
Not saying that in my situation, that is why I feel that happened. Obviously, COVID didn't happen specifically because of the one human being, me. No, it's just like it's also the contrast of perspective,
Yep.
right? Like that is my perspective because if it would have went a different way, sitting where I'm at now, like who knows? But I would very highly bet it would not be uh, like where I'm sitting. And I wouldn't want to. I don't even want to think about it. I'm just
Right.
grateful that it wasn't, that it didn't happen because you want to make a move. You want to. I just got to do something because here and everything's happening, and I just got to make a decision. But when you make things, and they'll tell you, like people say, in business, like don't ever make a business decision based off of emotion. Like in that sense, I got to do
Right.
it. But I'm so glad that I didn't. I like sat with my truth a lot, and it was very tough because I was like, did I make the right decision? And for a long time, because it was, again, it wasn't until like super recent where it's like put stuff together, put it out, make sense. Because starting TikTok, like going into the social media thing now, uh, I didn't want to do it. Like after Songland and all that, I just didn't want to do it out of fear. Again, I didn't want to
Yeah.
do the stuff that you see on Instagram, on TikTok, on any of it. I just didn't. I was like, this is I would tell myself like this is a real project. Not that it's not, but I would just tell myself I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Because I thought I knew, and I'm sure a lot of people feel like this. I don't think
Yes.
like I know a lot of
Yeah.
people feel like this, and I was definitely one of those people. I was like, then the people are going to think that like I'm dancing and I'm lip syncing and doing all this stuff. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like because it societally, TikTok and a lot of these platforms had that view,
Yeah.
and then which in my head I'm like, well, this was such a real seated project. If I were to do that, I would disvalidate all of it, you
Yeah.
know. But it was such a fear that I had, and then I had to like sit with myself and my manager Charles, who Chaz, we grew up together, which is so crazy. Like talk about a full circle. You always talk about it's like your day ones, but like for me, it
Yes.
really was like that. But and we had linked in COVID, during COVID, and he came from like corporate world, and I just come from like do it, do whatever, figure it out. But he's been such a huge help with that too, and plus someone that externally I like put trust in the
Yeah.
conversations and working towards things and stuff that he saw that I should have been doing the whole time for sure. But again, it's a journey. It's like I wish I would have did the stuff when I was freaking 16 too, and we would mess around and like sing and like rap or whatever. I was just too insecure, and I was too caught up in my excuses, right?
Right.
So once we started the link again during COVID and going from 2020 to 2021, I had this like such just a journey, like self discovery journey, and not through social media, but yes, at the same time, it was like, how do I just let go of all that? Like
Yeah.
like, because I do believe, as much as as much as Chaz was telling me too, like, bro, like, just trust me. It's not like you're building this big thing up in your head. I'd be like, this is what I'm going to look like. I'd scroll on some videos, not to discredit anybody else, but I would scroll on videos that just didn't resonate with me, but like, that's what was like popping. And I was like, I
Yeah.
am not doing that. You know,
Yeah.
I was like, he's like, bro, like, that works for them. Like, this, like, I'm telling you, that's not what you could try to be like that, and it still wouldn't come off like that. And I was like,
Right.
I don't know about that. You know, like, I don't know about that. I was like, I'm not doing it, you
I am
know?
not a TikTok lip sync dancer.
Yeah, just like all of it, which is so funny because full circle, that was the first thing to go viral, right? But,
Right.
um, but yeah, and it just came, I had to go through the whole thing, but in life, but now career. So I was like, if I'm implementing these things, I just have to go on this journey. I have to do all the things. I have to create the excuses, and I have to be like, okay, if I'm going to do it, I started out with, okay, if I'm going to do it, I got to really be singing. It's got to be a microphone. It's got to be a good take. It's got to be this angle. It's got to be shot with the A7S3, like full and S-Log and all these things with camera settings. And if I'm going to do it, it's going to be like that. But the issue with that, and the excuse with those excuses, cool, they look good, but my return on investing that time was so much shorter because it took me, I had to do another take and another take. The amount of
Yes.
time, someone would have just made like 20 videos, and I
Yeah.
just got this one out.
Yeah.
So, and like, what's really crazy is I'm sure some people do, notice the difference in some of it, but no one does. Like, no one's going to, especially when it comes to like tracking a vocal and doing that, just do it. Like, what's the main purpose is to get the message out and this project. And if you're going to pull it back from that happening, is going to be from your own excuses, So I
Right.
had to go through that whole whirlwind of, it's got to be perfect, there's no such
Right.
thing. But yeah, it was that for a while until I just started. I think I slowly but surely started taking on things that I really didn't want to do. Like, I mean, all of it. Like, I also didn't want to do cover stuff. I didn't want to do. I was like, I'm an artist project. I don't freaking sing covers. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just didn't. I was like, that's not me. So I
Yeah.
had to start doing it. You know. So I started doing it just to branch that line of who I thought I knew I was.
Right.
I was
Right.
like, these are excuses. So little by little, that led up until the first thing with Whisper um, going viral, which wasn't even, I just did it again. We were filming and I don't even know what the frick I was doing. I honestly have no idea. I was just vibing. And, and I didn't want to change. Like, it was another thing. I'd been making so many every single day, nonstop. And my manager flew out to California where I was living at the time. And he's like, all right, you want to change and like put on? I was like, I don't want to change. I don't want to do it. Like, we'll just do it. Let's just do it. I had all my gym clothes, and that became a whole thing. But it was
Yeah.
like we were just like, let's just have fun, and do it. And that was the only song that I filmed. I only had one of those videos with that song. I filmed a million other videos to every other freaking song, and that was it. And it happened to be a dance, which I just still don't consider it a dance, but yeah, and lipping, and so I mean, it's amazing, it's wild, but it's
Okay, I have a silly tiny question for you. I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this, but maybe it's the dancer in me. So at the beginning of the clip, we all see a masterpiece whenever you kick. Like, is that just something you just like randomly did? Because I mean, it's clearly such a thing. I mean, I just, by the way, shot a video to, I haven't released it yet, but to that song on my treadmill because I dance on my treadmill.
oh nice.
It's a whole thing. And I did the kick and I was like, that feels good to do that in that moment. Maybe that's why he did it.
Oh really? I don't
Just
even. Is it in the beginning? Is it? I don't.
yeah, like with the kick, like how like the jump kick where you like literally you're like you can't see it on the screen.
That's all masterpiece. I don't even know what I do. Like, I know some of the moves, but then I end up using them for a different song. It's
It's
like,
so no, it's so funny because also like I think there's a video with like the construction guy doing the kick. And I
oh
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's
But
like
that's
the
why.
kick feels good. I don't know.
I mean, maybe I don't. I just feel like, especially at this point, like throughout all I have definitely learned is I'm just having fun, with
Yeah.
it, just trying to have fun. Because the more I try to force, there's something in this field. The more I
Yeah.
try and force something and make something work, and not only do I feel worse, but it never happens. Like, it just doesn't. It makes the whole thing worse,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then I feel, and it's just like this circle of. So all that stuff is just more so organic. You know, you have fun with it, and then if something trends or it pops, you try and replicate it. But I always say I'm not a dancer because like I would never put myself in that case. So you being someone that dances, so I'm like I don't freaking dance, you know, because then that's my assumption. It's like because I know I don't dance, like I don't got it like that. It's like then I know like then we'd be like, oh my gosh, he thinks he's a dancer. No, I don't. You know, like I really swear to you, I don't think that. That was a fear though, and now
Yeah.
it's just, you know, hopefully I'm not disrespecting dancers all around the world, but
No,
no,
you do great. You do
no,
great.
I'm just having fun with it. You
Well,
know,
it's well, and I can feel it from you, and that's something that I talk about a lot on my platform is like if you can lean into, like you're saying, like your purpose and the things that feel good to you, other people are going to feel it whenever you share that with others. It's just inevitable, and it just feels really good whenever you can tell the person's genuinely loving what they're doing. So okay, so before I let you go, I need to ask you about this frequency with songs thing.
yeah,
I don't know exactly how that works, but I saw you talking about this in some of your content, and I love all of this. It fascinates me and all the like high vibrations, but I don't understand how it goes with music. Can you explain what you mean by that?
yeah. So you're speaking more on the stuff I've been putting out recently, as far as like
Yeah.
tuning frequencies to music. Well. So
Yeah.
first off, it really started with another thing I was scared of. I didn't want to get into the hip hop realm just because I'm not blonde now, but I'm a blonde haired, blue eyed kid, and I was so scared. I was like, what are people going to freaking think? Even though that's my favorite genre and that's what I listen to, I was so held back from doing that in any of my work because of fear. You know, what are people going to
Yeah.
say? So it started with okay, like I sat with my manager with Chaz, and it was just like, bro, like you talk about life all the time. What if you just put like the stuff that you write about? What if you just made it about just write about life stuff, you know, and like affirming statements essentially. Like that's stuff that's changed my life. So it started as that. And I had to like, you know, just be like, how am I going to do this? So little by little, and it started with like Too Good and Worth It and Love Myself and some of these records that are very speaking it into existence, like affirming statements that when people listen to it, you are essentially like, you don't know, like manipulate. It's like manipulating in a positive way. But I just found out the word manipulate isn't technically a negative thing. It's doing something in a skillful manner, right? So
Yeah.
I was like, that's what it is. It's like, how do you make the beats cool? You know, that was my excuse.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna make the beats cool.
Yeah.
And so it started like that, like into the frequency. It started with affirming statements, speaking it into existence, law of attraction, saying these things, and then it was like, oh, what if I actually like took some of these sounds and tuned them, had some affirming statements, and then also tuned some of it to like certain frequencies, you know, because I listen to that at night. I listen to, uh, I type in the YouTube nighttime success affirmations, you know, and frequencies. And
Oh
I
my
just
God,
let
I
it
need to
play
try
all
that.
night. Yeah, definitely check it out. It's changed my life.
Okay.
There's just like 8 to 10 hours. You can find all different 5 hour ones, however long you sleep. And you just listen to it all night. And so you're training your subconscious because that's the real issue, right? It's not your conscious. You could consciously be like, I know this is what I have to do, but that's only if it consciously comes to awareness. But
Right.
your natural instinct is what your subconscious will be, right? It's like if your
Right.
natural instinct is to get rage or get really upset, it's like, well, how do I stop doing that? We have to start changing your first response, which is your subconscious. So
Right.
whether it's about money, which because it's like everyone, I feel like you'll never win. You know, it's like I want people to be of abundance. You know, not just money, but everything else. And it's like, well, all you care about is money. It's like, it's not the freaking point. You know, it's like it's
Right.
the thing is with money, right? It's what's the one thing it provides for anybody anywhere is freedom, right?
Yep.
Freedom
Yep.
to do whatever you want, to take care of whoever you want. Like that's the
It's
thing, right?
it's good. Yeah.
There's also nothing wrong with if someone just wants to not, you know, just make enough to survive. Like, if anything, like, when I sometimes like feel envious of that, it's like, damn, like, would I just want to be able to do that and live for sure, you know? But there's just other things in my life and my journey and my path that I feel um, is meant for more. So
Right.
it's tuning some of those frequencies. Like, if I could put this with affirming statements and tuning, I was like, oh my gosh. And then so I kind of tested it and put out a video. And then I just started seeing so many people like on that same wave, which not that I didn't think that there was. Obviously, I listened to a ton of different videos. I see that people know about it. but to see it like that uh, through the platform that I'm also trying to like have resonate with people on that wave was just like, oh, this is perfect. You know,
Right.
how do we do this and then pair it with all the content and putting everything out? And that's how it kind of came about. It's just tuning some of those frequencies with affirming statements, and then you really put like law of attraction, manifestation, all in one. You know.
Right. So, and it's like, it's something that for someone that's not familiar with creating music, like it's something that you're doing, you're literally doing it, right? With your technology that you're using to put it together.
Right.
You
Yeah. There's
speak
definitely.
in, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a million and one ways to honestly do it. But yeah, like jumping into the EQ and then tuning, going to specific frequencies and doing it right. It's also tricky when it can be when you're doing it with music that people want to bump. You know, it's like I'm not going to bump 932 hertz, and it's just going to freaking hurt. You know, so there's like
Yeah.
a balance. There's a balance behind doing all of it. I think like there's a couple things that I want to do and take some actual tuned. I haven't done it yet, but some actual tuned frequencies like through some of the platforms that I listen to and
Mm-hmm.
take them and then retweak them and just make that like specific thing, but have it not like affect your ears because you want to bump the music. Like that's what I want you to, but I don't want
Right.
it to hurt your ears.
Right.
And tune some of it to that and just do like certain. It's hard. It's hard for me to explain over here. I'll have to do it first, and then you'll hear it. But I'm
Yeah.
excited to do that next because just building this, like I said, this community. So we just started. Hopefully it goes live. That's probably what my manager's texting me about now. Hopefully it goes live tonight. It's going to be full of heart. What is it going to be? Fullofheartfam.com, where it's just whether people are on manifestation, the wave of manifestation, law of attraction, abundance, putting things in there, a ton of like all the things that essentially also have helped me. Like I could put in, some of these links that I still listen to today in there, but starting topics of conversation. We want to do monthly giveaways. I also want to put like two unreleased songs a month in there for all the people
Sweet.
that are a part of it. Tons of BTS. It's like there's a whole lot. There's a whole list, and I had to like talk about it in a video last night, and I was like, oh, it's like how do I remember saying all this stuff? But yeah, we just started it, and it's going to be called fullofheartfam.com, and
That's
just, yeah, I'm like,
fantastic.
I can't wait
So,
to.
so you're creating an online community, people that want to get together and and jive with you on all that stuff. That's fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Then it could be in one place, because there's a million different platforms, and it's like, well, how do you know what really goes here? And then also, you're kind of at the end of the day, all of us creators, and I'm sure you can relate to this. You're still at the algorithm's whim. So whether you have good information you think and you want it to help someone,
Yeah.
or you hope it resonates with someone or whatever,
Right.
you just want them to hear it. Like you're just still taking a shot in the dark. So hopefully, little by little, the more little algorithm, or hopefully it just blows the video up of me talking about it. We'll just manifest that, but can bring it in an online community where everything's under one central hub.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's smart too. I mean, coming from that perspective that I see when I'm helping a business with something, it's like, to have more than one touch point essentially, rather than just relying on just TikTok or just Instagram or something. They're fantastic. But yeah, it's smart. And it feels nice, right? The people that are going to join that are going to feel like they have this special actual place. Like they literally have a separate platform to go for them. It's special that they
I
can
mean,
spend
yeah,
time
that's
with you.
that's definitely the drive behind all of it. And like Chaz and I, it's like where it's just of how much value can we essentially bring
Yeah.
to all of this? Because I really don't want to get into any of it unless it's going to do so, because it's going to be overcomplicated and it's not. So like, where can we provide value and what can we do and what do we have that we can bring to everyone that's going to be involved? So
Right.
uh,
Right.
yeah, super excited.
I love it. I love it. Well, I appreciate you taking the time with me today. Like, seriously, for me personally, this is really inspiring. I've been following your journey and I've really, really just enjoyed it. And just also in the work that I do, what you're doing, you are just an example of, of, of the kind of people I try to show to others to say, look what this person has done. Cause you do have this long journey and the things that you've been through in your life. And then to make that decision, even though you were reluctant at first,
Yeah.
to say, hey, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to get online. I'm going to try to reach a bunch of people and help people. And it's fantastic. So I love what you're doing. And I really appreciate you
Well, I
hanging out with
appreciate
me.
you. Thank you
Yeah,
for
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 sure.
saying all that, and
Uh,
thank you for having me on.
Oh no, of course. It's absolutely my pleasure. So we'll have everything in show notes for anybody that needs a visual, but so tell me again, the name of the community is
fullofheartfam.com.
Full Heart
Everything
Fam.
you can find me on Instagram, so is all Able Heart,
Able Heart.
Able Heart or Able Heart Music.
Okay.
Social media, yeah, streaming platforms, Able Heart.
Okay. All right. Everybody, go follow. Do all the things. You will not be sorry. You're going to love him. Thank you so much, Abel. I really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you so much. Seriously.